Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our presentation tonight. Would you please rise for the presentation of our nation's colors by the Karns High School Air Force Junior ROTC Color Guard. Please remove your hats, place your right hand over your heart, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the principal of our freshman academy here at Karns High School, Mr. Milani.
Thanks, sir. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan Milani, and I have the pleasure of serving at Karns High School as the freshman academy principal. We're going to take a minute just to welcome you all, and here in just a second I'm going to introduce Dr. Hatfield. She can go ahead and make her way up. But I just want you to kind of meet some of our staff and some of our administration. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hatfield so she can just kind of introduce everybody.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Lacey Hatfield. Welcome to Karns High School. I see a lot of students, families, parents. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. If you are a staff member here at Karns, would you stand up just for a minute? You guys can see our staff. We've got a few of them in here to help welcome you guys. Most of them are still outside. Thank you guys for coming to join us. And we've got a counselor in the back, Mr. Sutton back here in the back. Mr. Sutton is our junior principal. Mr. Milani, you have just met. We have Ms. Reynolds, we have Mr. Collins. We have several of our staff members in here with us. So just a little bit about just Karns general, because tonight you're going to be overwhelmed with information. I'm just going to be just honest with you. It's a lot of information we're going to give you guys tonight. But there's three things I want you guys to know that we focus on daily here at Karns High School. Number one that we focus on is safety. That is the first and foremost thing that we pride ourselves on. We want to focus on with every single student. The second thing I want you guys to know about is that we're going to love your kids. No matter what, we're going to love your students. We want them to feel welcome and have a safe, good place here at Karns High School. And the third thing is we're going to provide them a lot of opportunities. Opportunities to challenge themselves, opportunities for them to grow, opportunities for them to mature. Sometimes they're going to make mistakes. That's an opportunity for them to help to grow up to become a young adult. Miss Evans just came in, so thank you, Miss Evans. Sorry, Miss Garner came in. We have Miss Brooks as a translator over here to our right. So thank you guys again for being here. My name is Lacey Hatfield. If you ever need anything, please always reach out to us, and I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Milani.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so when you look up at our principal names on the screen right now, you'll see academy names. When Mrs. Evans comes up in a bit to speak, she's going to explain what each one of those means and what that structure means to Karns High School. But I want to talk about our counseling department real quick. The first person that you need to know as a class of 2027 parent is you need to know Miss Savannah Reynolds. She is our freshman academy counselor. And then when students leave the 9th grade and go to 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, they will pick their pathway, and that will put them in one of our academies, and they will stick with that counselor for the rest of their time at Karns High School. So they can build that relationship, and then that person can see them through to graduation. All right? First, we're going to talk about graduation requirements. One of the biggest struggles we have in welcoming freshmen to high school is it's not like elementary and middle school where it doesn't necessarily matter how well you do, you get passed on to the next grade level. So what I tell freshmen when they come on the first half day of school, I tell them they need to think of their diploma like a cash trade. They're going to have to give me 28 credits, and then I'm going to hand them a piece of paper that says they were successful. If they don't earn those 28 credits, they don't get that diploma. So what I tell kids is if you fail math, science, English, and social studies as a freshman, we're going to call you a sophomore, but you're a sophomore with no credits. So you're a sophomore in freshman classes because you have to pass Algebra 1 before you can take geometry. So if you just take a quick second and look at the graduation credits, you'll notice English and math both have four requirements for graduation. That means they have to take a math class each year and an English class each year. And of course, those are some of the areas our students struggle the most. And so the freshman year is super important for staying on top of things and making sure that we're earning those credits as freshmen, because it makes the rest of your time in high school a whole lot more enjoyable. And we'll talk later about some supports we put in place to make sure that happens. Another thing that we have to make sure that students and parents understand is this idea of GPA. GPA is basically a number to describe their academic success. So what they do is A's, B's, C's, and D's all have a different value. They add all that together, they divide it by how many classes they have, and that gives them a number to describe them academically. A 4.0 student means they make straight A's. A 3.0 student means they average out to all B's. 2.0 means all C's. 1.0 means all D's, is what they average to. So the GPA can have a lot of impact. For example, a lot of colleges will have GPA minimums they have to meet. Hope Lottery Scholarship, you have to have a 3.1 GPA or a 21 on your ACT. Tennessee Promise luckily does not have a GPA requirement, but athletics, if you have a student, if you have a son or daughter that is looking to compete in collegiate athletics, they have to have at least a 2.3 in their core classes for D1, and they've got to have at least a 2.2 if they want to go D2. So GPA starts day one of freshman year. So we like to make sure that every parent knows that, because we don't want kids ending up in their junior or senior year when a recruiter comes knocking and that 1.7 is just not going to do it for them. All right? One of the things that we also are taking an initiative on this year is our attendance. One of the numbers that the district and state gives us is our chronic absenteeism. What that means is a student is deemed to be chronically absent, missing 9 days in a semester or 18 in a year. I think everybody kind of understands attendance is key. You have to be in class in front of your teachers to learn so that you're getting that direct instruction. I don't know about your experience with COVID, but from the education side of it, virtual didn't go well for a lot of kids. Being in front of an adult in a classroom is far better than being in front of somebody on a screen, okay? So being at school is key. So we are putting things into place, initiatives and reward systems and brag systems and stuff like that. We're applying for a grant. I think the grant was filled out today. We're applying for grant money to help us with that, to focus on getting our kids in class so they can learn what they need to learn, all right? And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Evans, who's going to talk to you about 865 Academies.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. So, first of all, we're going to start with what is Forward Next Gen Learning. That's kind of the grant that we're using, or the funding that we're using to move to the 865 Academy model. Their goal is to make a large high school. So right now we have 1,340 students. Next year we're projected to have 1,420. So we're looking at a big enrollment number. That's a lot of kids, especially for some of our students who are coming from smaller middle schools to a large high school. So their goal is to make this large school feel a little bit smaller by dividing the school into academies so that your students are around similar groups of students with similar interests and teachers who also share those interests for those students. Really, we also want to make sure that we're incorporating student interests into their classes and making sure that they have a way to see relevance across all content, not just like isolated English, math, science, and social studies. So the reason that we switched is we kind of talked with our parents. Some of you guys were surveyed, some of our current parents were surveyed, as well as our staff and our administration and community members. And basically what everybody said is they would like for their kid to be a productive member of society. Do we agree that we want all of our children to be productive members of society? I'm the one who makes you like at least nod back to me, or I'll just stare at you awkwardly. So please feel free to nod back and make me feel like I'm not talking to myself. I really appreciate it. So again, do we feel like we want everybody to be productive? Oh, so much better. Okay. So our goal is for every person to be enrolled, enlisted. So enrolled means enrolled in a 2-year college, a 4-year college, or a trade school, employed in any type of job that's going to give back to our community, or enlisted in any military option for service. We also want to support our students' future goals after graduation. One of the things that we found when we started looking at our kids is they don't really know what their goal is, and so then they graduate as seniors and then they try and figure it out, and it's kind of hard to do that because you don't have all the supports that you have in school. And also to increase relevance for students in core content areas. I don't know about any of you, but I took some classes and I was like, I am never, ever, ever going to use this in my life after I finish this class. Did anybody else have that experience? Okay. So everyone has kind of had that experience, and our goal is to show some relevance in that. So let's say, for example, your students are really interested in auto mechanics, and it's really kind of difficult to connect biology to auto mechanics, right? Those are two things that aren't really relevant. Well, if we talk about the body as a system and how the body works and the different ways that if different parts of your body fail, then your body overall as a system fails, it's really similar to looking at your car as a system, and if your spark plugs fail, then what does that look like? So it's trying to connect like analogies so that kids understand it may not be the same content, but there are connections across all subjects from science to CTE to math and to English. Just like in construction, one of the biggest things is having to use a tape measure and being able to do the math on a tape measure. That connects back to all of the math that you're trying to do that way in class. So that's really what our goals are for that. From there, a lot of people have asked, like, what is a pathway? So basically what our goal is for all students to take part in a CTE pathway. We're not forcing all students to be in a CTE pathway. I want to make sure everyone hears me. We are not going to force your child to be in a CTE pathway if they're not interested. There are a lot of different opportunities that we have, but that is not going to be a forced requirement. In the 28 graduation credits that were up there were 3 classes that had to be in an elective focus. This CTE pathway is part of that elective focus. In addition, if you looked at the math earlier, you're only required to have 28 credits to graduate. You actually have the opportunity in your high school to earn 32. So there are 4 extra classes that you can take in addition to those 28 graduation requirements, and that can be used as your CTE elective pathway as well. Okay? So to complete a pathway, you have to take at least 3 courses in that pathway. And then what we are offering now through Forward Next Gen Learning is we are increasing work-based learning. So students who are seniors, we have about 20 students this year enrolled in an opportunity where they're getting high school credit while they get paid to go work at their jobs that are related to their field that they did. So we have students who are in culinary classes that are working at a Wendy's. They are in their field of their elective focus, so they are getting paid to leave school at 2 o'clock and go to Wendy's and work. So it's kind of a great way for them to get credit as one of those extra 4 credits and still further their knowledge of what that looks like. So these are the current CTE pathways that we offer. If you want to scan this QR code, it has all the flyers that are out there. It's bigger on the next slide. I promise it doesn't disappear. But so this is what we currently offer. We do have one of the most diverse offerings of CTE pathways in the county. We are fortunate that we have Byington-Sawway, which is the additional school that's down the way, like a football field away. That Byington-Sawway campus houses a lot of our core construction trades as well as some of our human service trades. And so those are there in addition to all the programs that we offer at school. So this is what we currently have right now. I promise it's on the next slide, don't freak out. Okay, and this is what we are actually adding next year. We were fortunate when we started going through our offerings, we had the ability to add pathways. Some of our other schools had to cut some because they just didn't have the ability to fill them the way that we do. So we are adding a coding pathway, an entrepreneurship pathway, a pre-law pathway, and a sports and human performance pathway. So with those things, one thing that one of our parents at our current night said, she was like, well, I feel like you're moving towards careers and you're not pushing towards college. That is not true. So when we're going through these, if we're looking at pre-law, we had a pathway fair here, January 26th. Okay, look at that, date's right. January 26th, we had a pathway fair here, and so what we did within the pre-law pathway is we showed colleges that have pre-law programs close by. We showed, we had people come from the military who talked about what it meant to be an MP, what it meant to be in the military. We had Homeland Security, the FBI, we had careers as paralegals. So we try to show the spectrum of what you can do within that pathway. So if you're picking a pathway, you're not necessarily saying, I'm gonna be a lawyer because I'm going pre-law. You're saying, I have some interest in a pathway that's related to this, and I'm gonna get some basic knowledge about it to make sure that's what I wanna do when I graduate. Because we have had several examples of students who've gotten into pathways. One of my favorite students, she's always so well done and her nails always look beautiful and she's always so put together, really likes cars. And so she went in our maintenance and light repair class that we have where they actually work on cars and was told she had to cut her nails and she was gonna have to be greasy. And she said, I like cars, but I am not having my nails on. So she learned very quickly that she doesn't actually want to work on cars, but she might like to work in a business associated with cars. That's kind of what we're looking at doing to save you guys some money so that your student doesn't finish and then decide to go into something and figure out that that's not really what they want to do either. So it may not be that they figure out what they want to do. It could be they just figure out, I don't want to do that at all. So these are the things that we are doing from now on with our high school experience. It goes all the way from 9th through 12th grade. 9th grade, you've got your freshman academy and freshman seminar, as well as college and trade school visits, and the career pathway fair. So those are all things that will happen in the 9th grade year. We've done all of those this year, and they've actually gone amazingly. Our freshmen gave some really great feedback at our ambassador interviews about how they really enjoyed that experience. 10th grade, they're going to be in their academy and take their content classes, as well as any intro CTE classes that they need, and then advanced academic courses and do virtual career visits with people from all over Knoxville, talking about the career opportunities that they have. 11th grade, we're actually going to take them out and let them shadow jobs that they're interested in the community, so they can talk to actual people who hold the jobs that they're interested in, as well as they can start earning some national industry credentialing that will be useful for them after high school if they go directly into their career. We have all different kinds. We have a safe serve through our culinary department. We have the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. They can become a plumbing. You can become a certified oil technician through our maintenance and light repair program. There's a lot of different opportunities. And then senior year, it's the work-based learning. We also do internships and clinicals. We have a program where you can become a certified pharmacy tech. Your CRNA exam. Look at my counselors to make sure I'm saying the right one. CNA, not CRNA, sorry, CNA exam. And then, I missed a letter. And then advanced CTE classes as well as dual enrollment. So all of those are things that you can go through. These are some examples of some things we've done this year. Up there on the top right, we took all of our light maintenance and repair students to a couple different places, including Secret City Dodge. They got to work and tour all their new facilities, as well as Knoxville, North Knoxville Jeep and Dodge. And we got to see all of their facilities, and the kids got to do top wrench competitions and things like that. It was really fun. They did a great job. On the bottom right there, that is a Top Chef competition that our culinary arts, that's an MRE. Anybody here in the military or seen an MRE before? Yeah, they're gross and disgusting, no offense. And our culinary kids actually took them and created like masterpiece food with like chocolate drizzles and all kinds of things that don't exist in that MRE. Our Pathway Fair is the next one over, and they actually got to do a weather broadcast with WBLT and see what that looks like for our audiovisual pathways. We did business interviews and mock interviews for what a job interview would look like. We've also done, at the top, it's the Tennessee Theater, and we took our stage production as well as our musical theater classes to see what that looks like in real life. We've also done Big Daddy's Pizza for our culinary group, and we got to tour a lot of the restaurant groups in Sevierville so they could see what the different aspects are. And then for our CDC students, they also got to visit Riverside Coffee Shop and see what job skills they could use for students with CDC and our students with disabilities. And they got to see what kind of jobs they could work and what options they have for employment after high school. I'm talking really fast for Ms. Peters, I'm sorry. All right, back to Mr. Milan.
All right, so I'm gonna take a minute and just kind of tell you what Freshman Academy looks like in a nutshell. That's actually the doors to Freshman Academy. I'm quite proud that Dr. Hatfield let me spend some money. So we dressed up my end of the building because I wanted our students to feel like they got something for coming to high school. So freshman seminar. So Mrs. Evans mentioned that some of our students are interviewing to be ambassadors. So one of the things with the 865 model is you select students to be ambassadors to lead many different things. For example, when your student comes for their visit in March, some of our ambassadors will be leading them around that building, telling them about the school. We may have guest speakers come in. We may have guests come in like the Knox County mayor or maybe our school board member, people like that. So these are students that we put in front of those people to tell them about Karns, to brag about Karns, and to show them what we do here. So we've been doing those interviews. And this course is one of the things that they said they've enjoyed the most. So freshman seminar, what it is you can think of it as like a multifaceted class. One thing we do is they take U-Science and they look at that data and they learn about themselves. So U-Science, what it does is it takes your interests, but it also takes your aptitudes, and then it suggests careers you might be interested in that overlap. So I like to do this, and I might be interested in this, but I'm also good at this. So hopefully giving them a better selection. Then what we do is we take that information and we put them in front of people in our building that they might want to work with, pathways they might want to take. So we do a lot of different stuff through seminar. So it teaches them about themselves. They also learn study skills. We go through a curriculum called Why Try that my seminar teachers have started about 2 weeks ago. So they basically learn about themselves. They kind of learn how to be a student. And we're going to look at applying some more AVID. When Ms. Burnett gets up in a minute and talks to you about AVID, we're going to look at applying some more AVID things into our seminar classes as well to hopefully help our students be better academically. And then it also teaches them the pathways. So there's a bunch of different things that we do for pathways. Mrs. Evans showed you several things that we do outside the building. We bring experts into the building. But one of the things I love the most is we take that U-Science data and we give them a lanyard for a program they might like within our building. And then they use their seminar class to go visit that class and watch it happen in real time. So we're putting these kids in front of the teachers. We're putting these kids with other students that do that pathway to give them an opportunity to see it happen in real time, so they're making that decision before they register for classes. I had one of the biggest reasons I enjoy that is when we did the 8th grade tours in the fall, I had a cheerleader who was a senior come to me and say, I didn't really know that Byington existed. Until I led kids down on the tour, I didn't know that that was part of Karns High School. And so a lot of kids, when they register for courses, which we're going to talk about in a minute, they don't know all the options they have at their fingertips. So we've done a really good job with seminar of making sure that the current freshmen are educated on what they can choose from. All right? And so they're in the last one. Students that are enrolled in AVID 1, they don't get enrolled into freshman seminar. AVID 1 is a very rigorous course, so we let that take the place of seminar, and Ms. Burnett teaches that. So here's what your kids' schedule will look like. This is another thing that I got a lot of positive feedback on as we were doing these ambassador interviews. The way I think about this, if you look at the top half for first and second block, that's middle school. If you look at the bottom half for third and fourth block, that's high school. So the way we've designed this is it's a hybrid between 8th grade and 10th grade. So in the mornings, it's more structured. It's smaller groups. Mrs. Evans mentioned that one of the goals of 865 is to create smallness within bigness. So one of the things we do is we divide our kids up into teams. It's very much a middle school mentality. But we want to make sure we stay on top of kids in this crucial transition year to make sure they're as successful as possible before they get released into full 90-minute classes. Most of the ambassadors that talked about this schedule with me while we were doing interviews, one girl said, I love the fact that when I came back in January, I knew my first 4 teachers already, and I only had to meet 2 new people. So I was comfortable coming back in January because I knew the first 4 teachers, I already knew them, and I knew what to expect. And several kids have said, I don't know what I would have done if I just got thrown into 4 90-minute classes and I have to do all that at one time. A lot of freshmen don't understand that a 90-minute class ends in December. They're used to middle school being all year, and so a lot of our kids get really stressed out in December when we're telling them that they're about to earn an F on their transcript. And so this transition year has helped them to understand my sophomore year, my junior year, and my senior year are going to move quickly. I need to be ready, all right? So this is very much on purpose. In the morning, they take their English, their math, their social studies, and their freshman seminar classes. We have teams divided up. We've got honors classes, we've got supportive classes, we offer the whole gamut of what these classes look like. But one thing I am going to mention, if your student gets recommended for honors English, there is summer reading. So just check our website over the summer. I'll make sure that we have an announcement up where you can check into that to make sure that your student gets their summer reading done, because when they come on day 1, they're going to expect to be done with the book. We had some students that weren't prepared, and it was a stressful first couple of weeks for a few kids. So I told my English teachers I would mention that at this meeting. But next I'm going to welcome up Mr. Arvin. He's going to talk about AP Human Geography.
Good evening. First off, I'll just say there is no summer reading for AP Human Geography. I'd like to talk to the 8th graders because there are some myths and things that maybe you don't know about human geography. It does replace your freshman social studies credit, so you do not have to take world history. It is not a maps and mountains and rivers kind of geography class. It's a human geography class, which means we look at why things are where they're at. Why do people move? Why do we build cities here? And things like that. You do, as a freshman, if you take this class and take the AP exam and score 3 or higher, you have an opportunity to earn college credit as a freshman, which over the past 5 years that I've been teaching the course, 62% of the freshmen who have taken the course have earned college credit as a freshman. It is not like some AP courses that are very, very intensive. It is what College Board calls a beginner AP class, and it's the only one a freshman can take. I will say we did some data research a couple years ago, and we looked at last year's seniors, the class of 2022, and when they were a junior on their AP exams, if they took AP Human Geography as a freshman, they ended up scoring 1 whole point higher on their AP exams across the board than the ones that did not. I say that to just say if you're planning on taking AP courses throughout high school, you should start as a freshman. I always get asked what kind of student should take it. I'll be honest, anybody. Now, ones that have been successful in the past, honors level type students, not necessarily an honor student, doesn't have to be an English honor student, doesn't have to be a social studies honor student. Someone that plans on, like I said, taking AP class in the future, attending a 4-year college, or really just has that inquisitive mind to take a challenge and want to learn more about the world. We do, in AP Human Geography, set the base for most of our other AP Social Studies classes. And like I said, there is no prerequisite work. Some of you have already talked to me tonight, said you were recommended. If you were not recommended, that's fine. If you really want to take the class, you can talk to your counselor and get into the class. If you ever have any questions about the course, which a lot of 8th graders do, you can just shoot me an email and I'll be quick to answer them. But it's one of the more enjoyable yet fulfilling classes you can take as a freshman, and I highly recommend it to everyone. I'm going to turn it back over to Mrs. Evans.
Hi again. The reason I'm talking about all the academics is I do function as a curriculum principal as well, so if you have questions about curriculum or things like that, please feel free to let me know, and I'll be here for a little bit afterwards as well. One of the things that we do offer here is all of our freshmen take pre-AP courses. These are designed in order to help students prepare for AP classes as well as to challenge them academically. So we currently offer pre-AP English 1, English 2, Algebra 1, World History, and Biology. With all of the offerings that we have, it's a really great way for students who think they might be interested in AP to see kind of what that course looks like and then go from there if they want to take some of those in the future. It's also a really good way because they do a lot of document-based questioning, and they do a lot of free response answers, so it really helps students with their writing and to make sure that their writing gets a little bit better. It really helps later on in AP exams as well. As far as AP classes, we do offer several AP classes. These are a list of all of the AP classes that we offer. I'm not going to read them all to you, but I will tell you that we do offer a lot of them. We have a really strong program with our AP teachers, and our AP teachers do a great job. Our results are equally as strong. Most of our students are scoring 3s or higher. So that's a really positive program. If that's something that you're interested in, it is a great way to earn college credit, but you do have to pass the AP exam at the end in order to be able to get the credit for college. Another option that we have is our AP Capstone Diploma. We are one of, I think, 3 schools in the county that offer the AP Capstone Diploma. In order to do that, students have to take AP Seminar and AP Research. Those are currently 7:30 a.m. classes. They are offered your junior and senior year, and they count as your English 4 credit. So together, if you take both of them, they count as English 4. In addition to that, if you take AP Seminar and AP Research, then you get a 3 or better on 4 AP exams, including those 2 for your high school career. Then you get what's called an AP Capstone designation on your diploma. That does help with some different schools and things like that, looking at making your transcripts more competitive. We also are going to offer several dual enrollment opportunities. A dual enrollment class is a class that is actually taught by a college. So we partner with Pellissippi as well as TCAT right now for several of our dual enrollment options. They are open for juniors and seniors. There are GPA requirements as well as ACT requirements. Some of them vary depending on what class you want to take. One thing that I am really excited about is Dr. Hatfield has really pushed with Pellissippi to get classes offered on campus so that transportation is no longer a limiting factor for some of our students. So we are looking at offering 4 dual enrollment classes on campus starting next year that are going to be taught by a Pellissippi professor who's coming to visit with us and stay for that class period, so that we're trying to give more access to dual enrollment for all students. There is also a grant, I always forget this part, there is a grant that will pay for 5 classes of dual enrollment for free. They're totally free to cost for you. They don't cost anything. That's through TCAT or through Pellissippi or other approved programs. And then the additional ones, I think you can take up to 8, and the additional ones are like $250 to $300 a course, which is much, much cheaper than paying for them in college. The current foreign languages that we offer, we're very excited. We added an ASL program this year. Shout out Ms. Peters, she's amazing. This is our ASL teacher. I think she was introduced, but she loves to be publicly recognized. So she's done a great job growing that program. We started with no one in it because we weren't sure we were going to get to hire someone, and she has some totally maxed out classes this year. So if that's something that your student is interested in, that is an option that we have. You do just need to make sure if they're looking at attending college that it is an approved foreign language, because there are some schools that don't accept ASL. However, most of the schools in Tennessee, if not all of them, do. We also offer French, German, and Spanish all the way levels 1 through 4. If you are interested in taking a foreign language as a freshman, you must have honors English on your recommendations from your English teacher. We can't allow all students to take a foreign language. The exception being ASL. If there are openings in ASL, we will allow freshmen to take that. These are all the different PE classes that we offer. We do have a certified strength and conditioning coach who teaches our advanced strength and conditioning classes. He is a certified personal trainer, and he has all the certifications to be able to do that. He's also one of our football coaches and a seminar teacher. He does a lot of things, and he is amazing. So if that's a class that your student is interested in taking, that usually is available starting junior or senior year. And also our ROTC program. If your student is at all interested in ROTC or going into the military, we have one of the best programs in the area. We actually just got a Unit of Distinction Award from the federal government talking about how great our program is. And it also will count as your child's PE credits, so they don't have to take PE in addition to that. Also, if your student is in marching band, if you're interested in marching band, they don't have to take PE, because I don't know if you've ever seen the marching band practice, but they kill it for weeks at a time, and they are amazing. So their marching out in the hot, hot sun in July definitely counts as their PE credit for the years. We offer several different fine arts opportunities. Like I said, marching band, and we also offer AP Music Theory. It's a great program, as well as our art classes and our choral programs. We are getting ready to perform Oklahoma. The sets are hidden behind here. But Oklahoma will be happening later this year. If you'd like to come see it, we'd love to have you. It's a great, great performance. And now I'm gonna let Ms. Burnett talk about AVID, and I promise you won't see me back up here again.
Good evening. AVID is a class. It stands for Advancement via Individual Determination, and I am Bethany Burnett, the coordinator and one of the AVID elective teachers. So first of all, I always like to acknowledge in this particular audience that regardless of how many students you have almost survived middle school with at least one of them. So that's a great thing, right? I feel like that for myself, and I always get a lot of feedback from people about that as well. But AVID is a class that prepares students for college. So students who take this class want to go to college, and getting into college is actually quite easy to do. The work in this class is to be able to go to college and stay and be comfortable and understand what your professors are talking about and get that vocabulary word that maybe they didn't know before. I have student retention is very high from AVID 1, 2, 3, and 4. I won't talk to you too much about junior, senior, and sophomore year because you all obviously don't need to know that now. But I see a lot of familiar faces where I have taught older siblings, so we end up having kind of a legacy feel in AVID as well, because if you have a student that in their senior year elects to take an academic elective where they're going to have to write essays and read and discuss as opposed to a more simple class, I hope that shows you the value of the class. So I think it's best to just talk to you. You can read the slide. I won't read to you. That gives you a lot of the information about what we do. But I have kind of a testimonial from some of my students that have been through the class. I was like, what do you think people should know about AVID? So this is all from students. I have students that say that for writing, my vocabulary has improved greatly. I feel more culturally aware. I feel more confident in my questioning skills and the amount of times I ask a specific question. My responses have improved through consistent lesson on accountable talk. I have learned the importance of study groups. I'm not afraid to speak up about any ideas, and I believe that I can benefit my group's work. I can contribute. Organization motivates me to do my very best. I recognize the importance of reading to improve my intelligence. I learn to let things go when I realize there's unnecessary worry. I understand when I need to step in or step away from a situation. I know how to be persistent and to overcome obstacles, and I act with intention towards my goal of reaching college. So AVID's not remedial. There is a grade requirement to get into AVID. I think that's important to know. But AVID is for those students who want to just move forward and be a better student in high school. We focus on writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. We take multiple college tours. We do community service projects. And for you guys, it's going to be in place of your seminar class, so there's no scheduling conflicts. I have a lot of times parents will say, you know, who's supposed to be in AVID? And I look at my students and I'll tell you, I have football players, tennis players, soccer players, basketball players, and then I have students who have not and never ever will touch a ball. I have students who are on this microphone and loving it, and some that would burst into tears if I even said the word microphone. I have students that are come from families that are large. I have some students that come from very small environments. So to tell you what is AVID supposed to be, it's supposed to mirror a college classroom. It literally is for anyone. So if it's something that you feel like you would be interested in, I'm going to stay outside so I can talk to you a little bit more about your individual student. But then you would just simply request AVID 1. We do have more applicants than what we can take, so there is a process. I had a couple students approach me as they came into school last year and say, hey, I talked to you in an interview. Why did you not pick me for AVID? And I was like, well, you didn't turn in your paperwork. You know, there's requirements that have to be met, and it just helps students to figure out how to advocate for themselves. So again, the whole point of this is to go to college, to be comfortable, to work together, but it's a program that I've been a part of for almost 13 years. I cannot explain to you how valuable it is. I just received a text message from one of my students that graduated that I had all 4 years. She just made the dean's list at Berea. Out of my 19 seniors last year, 17 are in school on scholarship. I only had 2 not go to college due to family constraints. So I can just show you like quantifiable data that it actually works. So come see me if you have any more questions. Have a great night.
Hey, I'm Miss Reynolds. I'm the freshman counselor. Not super tech savvy, but we made it. I'm going to be talking to you guys about registration. All registration for middle school and high school is done online through Aspen. And we're actually going to be visiting your child's middle school in the next couple of weeks. When we visit the middle schools, we usually do it in small groups, and I bring some extra high school counselors with me. So it's not overwhelming, and we don't just expect them to do it all on their own. We walk through step-by-step kind of what classes you need and then how to register for them. And after we go to the middle schools and get them registered, they will have time to come home and talk to you about their choices. And if you guys are discussing something and you're like, do we really think that's a good fit? You will have time to go in there and make changes. To do that, you'll just go to the Karns High School website and go to the school counseling section, and we'll have some step-by-step instructions, pretty much the same PowerPoint that we show your kids, so they might be experts by the time we walk them through it, but if not, there's a little reminder on the website. Let's see, if for some reason your student isn't at school on the day that we come and help them register, don't worry, reach out to their 8th grade counselor, and they'll be able to help them walk through the same process, because it's the same for middle school and high school. So reach out to the 8th grade counselor if that happens, and they will take good care of them, and we will take good care of them too whenever we go over there. Let's see, when we are there, one thing to look out for, I make a whole folder filled with information, because I know you guys are getting a lot of information tonight, but it'll have course descriptions, class availability, like what kind of options we offer. It'll have ways to get involved, extracurriculars, all that good stuff. So just be on the lookout for that folder after we come and register. And if you want me to go back to this slide and take a picture of the date, so that way maybe you can ask them if your counselor came that day. But that is about all I've got in terms of registration. Number 1, it's all online through Aspen. Number 2, we're gonna come to the middle schools and walk them through the process in small groups. And last but not least, be on the lookout for that folder, just because it might answer some questions you guys have and hopefully ease everyone's minds. But other than that, I will turn it over to Mr. Collins to talk about extracurriculars.
Mr. Collins. I'm the athletic director at Karns High School, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about extracurriculars. I'm also the last speaker, so y'all should all perk up for this, all right? Also, if you're wondering, Tennessee is currently beating Alabama 19-15, okay? So, all right. All right. So, freshmen, incoming freshmen, 8th graders. Let's talk about that for a second. Your high school experience, and I'm going to say this, I want to make sure you're paying attention. Your high school experience is going to be what you make it, okay? So getting involved in clubs, activities, sports are your ways, your pathway to friendships, lifelong memories, things like that. I promise you your experience is not going to be as good in school if you don't come in and get involved in some kind of club or sport or activity, okay? So this is a great way to come in to high school. So here is a list of most, but not all of our clubs, okay? You have a lot of different, there's a lot of different interests that come through up here. So you can see we have things like the Anime Club, AP Alliance, we've got dance team, DECA, we've got a Dungeons and Dragons club, all kinds of different things up here for you to get involved in. Here's the best part. If there's not something up here on the screen or something that doesn't currently exist that meets your interests, you can create a new one, okay? You can find other like-minded people like you and join together and have a club here, okay? All of those things are supported, okay? As far as sports that compete in the TSSAA, you can see those up there. We've got baseball, basketball, bowling, cheerleading, cross country, football, golf, soccer, both boys and girls, softball, tennis, both boys and girls, track, both boys and girls, volleyball, and wrestling, both boys and girls. This year has been an incredible year for our sports teams. Football had one of the best seasons in school history. Basketball, both our boys and girls are entering the district tournament as the number 2 seed, and they've both already clinched a spot into the regional tournament. Our bowling team went and bowled for the region title this year, came up just sort of going to state. Golf had a great year, had one come 2 strokes shy of making it to the state tournament this year. Soccer, softball, tennis, track, all those are getting started. And then wrestling, we have about 5 wrestlers competing to make it to the state tournament Friday and Saturday this weekend. So we have incredible kids here at Karns High School and really great coaches that are really ready to help you become better at your sport, and also, more importantly, hold you accountable in the classroom and help you become well-rounded overall people, okay? If you are interested in playing sports at Karns High School next year, here's the biggest thing that you need to know. So you need to write this down or take a picture of it up there at the top of the screen. You must have a sports physical dated after April the 15th of this year, okay? So in middle school, the transition from middle school to high school, we run into this problem a lot, okay? So let's say your student is currently running track at the middle school and they just went and got a physical, okay? Your insurance probably only pays for 1 physical a year, okay? If they want to then participate in any sport for their freshman year in high school, they will have to have a new physical, okay? Without your insurance paying for that, that's probably going to cost you around $100 and some bucks, okay? On May the 20th of this year, at KOC, Knoxville Orthopedic Clinic off of Weisgarber Road, that is Karns High School day to go in for its $10 physicals that day. So even if you've already had one this calendar year and your insurance is not going to pay for another one, you can go on that day and get a $10 one, okay? We also have a partnership with KOC where we have a certified sports trainer in the building to take care of our kids in case of injury, to do physical therapy, things like that. Our new athletic trainer starts in the second week of the second week of March. He is currently finishing up his job with the San Francisco 49ers and will be moving here and starting here. Okay? So our kids are well taken care of when injuries do arise. And KOC does a great job of making sure that they are taken care of in every way. Okay? That's all I've got. Mr. Milani, back to you.
All right, so that takes care of basically everything we had planned for this evening. Many of us are going to be out in the commons. If you want to stick around and ask some more one-on-one questions, maybe something more specific to your student, we'll be more than happy to hang out and answer your question. But other than that, I just want to say thank you for being here tonight, and you are dismissed.